Hello YouTube. So I wanted to make this video because I have some things to add to other Jin videos I've seen. Specifically, I'm going to cover how to access all Wavedash options, strings and key neutral moves, and finally I'll go over combos. With that, I'll go ahead and begin. The first set of strings I want to go over are the strings that begin with 1, 2. These strings are good for establishing pressure and can be used to mix up your opponent. The variations of this are 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 4. I would suggest starting with 1, 2, 3 because 1, 2, 1 is minus 16 and 1, 2, 4 is all highs and can be ducked and punished. 1, 2, 3 is high, high, mid, and the last hit is actually neutral on block, which can lead to some mind games. If your opponent's unaware of the frames or thinks you're plus, you can do things like 1, 2, 3, grab. Another solid option you can do is 1, 2, 3, and then down 4. This is particularly effective if your opponent's jabbing after your 3, because the down 4 will evade their jab and hit them. Finally, if your opponent starts to block low after your 3, you can get a full combo with a hop kick if you want to be that risky, or you could go for a less risky mid option if you prefer. So you can do something like this with the hop kick, or you can opt for something like this instead, whatever you want. The other variations I would mostly use as a counter to the 1, 2, 3. If you have a hard read that your opponent's going to duck, then it becomes worth it to throw out the 1, 2, 1. But remember, it is minus 16, so that's very punishable. 1, 2, 4 I would use if your 1, 2, 3 is getting stepped or jab interrupted. Because 1, 2, 3, it does have a slight delay, which does allow for those things to happen, whereas 1, 2, 4 is uninterruptible, so that makes up for the weaknesses of the 1, 2, 3 string. The other string I want to cover in detail is his 2, 1, 4 string. It's one of his most important strings, and it's high, mid, mid. The best way to use this string is to delay and change the timings, and to use mind games with whether you finish the string or not. I also suggest mixing in other strings, such as down forward 1, 4, 1, 3, 4, and some of the 1, 2 strings that I went over earlier. So an example of some offense using this can look like this. So something like that. I also wanted to mention, don't get in the habit of using the low extension off this move. So 2, 1, 4, 4. The reason why is, so 2, 1, 4, there's no delay, but if you do the low extension, there is a slight delay, and it is reactable and launch punishable. So good players can sit on both moves, and if you do the low, you're getting launched and punished and likely killed for it. So get in the habit of not doing that. Now I wanted to cover his key moves in neutral, so I'll begin with one of his more underrated options, his forward 3-1, which looks like this. It is a heat engager. It also has pretty good range and pretty fast startup for how much range it has. It's only 14 frames on startup, and you can see the range there. It is hit confirmable. So if it does hit, you can get a full combo by doing it again, and if they duck, then you can get full damage that way. It could look something like this. Other good neutral options I wanted to cover are Demon Paw, forward, forward 2. Also has pretty good range and is also a heat engager. The move that has the best range in neutral is his forward, forward 4. It knocks down, but it's not a heat engager. It's also more linear than a lot of his other options, so I'd be careful throwing that out too often. Other moves I wanted to touch on are back 2-1, which can be used in neutral for punishing, especially if you get a whiff. You can punish at some ranges with that move. And then finally, it's a very well-known option, but it's still a staple of Jin's neutral offense, is his forward 4. It's a bit slower, but it does have pretty good range, and it does lead to combo on counter hit like that. The last neutral strategy I want to cover is the use of the Zenshin and Zanshin stances. Both stances are evasive to highs and are good for baiting and punishing whiffs. The Zenshin version is entered by pressing 3+4 and forward, and Zanshin is 3+4 and back. Either enter the edge of range using Zenshin, or retreat to about the edge of range or outside of their range using Zanshin. Whatever version you use, if you get a whiff, the strongest option is up 1 as it leads to a full combo. Other strong options are 3+4 due to the range and its plus on block. If the opponent uses a low, 4 is a good option because it often goes over lows and is plus on block. If the opponent uses a mid or tries to step, 2 is a good option because it's a tracking move and a power crush. You also have access to all crouch dash moves by holding down forward for more strong options. Overall though, I recommend adding the use of these stances to your offense if you don't already use them. It's a good option if you don't want to rush in, or if you have been rushing in and want to mix it up. It's a good way to bait and punish whiffs for high damage opportunities. Now I wanted to go over his Wavedash offense and how to access all of his options from there. I'll begin by going over crouch dash or CD. So the crouch dash input, it's forward, down, down, forward, and if you do it all in one motion, it looks like this, and that's how you access your crouch dash moves, like your Depraved Savagery, here's CD1, your Electric, and then here is CD3, which is your tracking option. So those are the CD moves. Wave dashing, though, it's just crouch dashing, but basically doing it continuously. So instead of just doing it once, the forward, down, down, forward, you then start your input again with the forward and then just keep it going. And it'll look like this if you do it correctly. So that's wave dashing. But how you access his forward moves from dash is, instead of doing your button on the down forward part of the dash, which would give you your CD moves or crouch dash moves, like your Depraved Savagery and all the other ones, what you would do is you would end your dash by holding forward, which will make your character stand up. So you do your dash, hold forward, and then while you're holding forward, you then do your button, which will then give you the forward option of that move. So here is the forward 4 version. Here is the Demon Paw version. And here is the Axe Kick version, which is 3. Which leads to a full combo. So I would definitely recommend getting this in your offense if you don't already have it in your offense, because the purpose of these moves is your normal crouch dash moves, like your Depraved Savagery, CD1, CD3, or Electric. Those are all good moves, but they are a bit limited by range. So your forward moves sort of account for the weaknesses of the range of those moves. So like Demon Paw has really good range, your forward 4 has very good range, and your forward 3 or Axe Kick, it doesn't have the best range, but it does add more combo utility. So adding this to your offense will make you much more dangerous and give your opponent a lot more stuff to worry about than just your normal crouch dash offense. The last part of wave dashing I think is important to cover is Wavedash Canceling. It's similar to how you access the forward moves out of dash, but instead of holding forward after the dash, you tap it before whatever action you want to do. From there, you can immediately block by pressing back, or you can access any non-stance moves as well. Here's what it looks like when you cancel into block. If you want to cancel into an attack, just do the input of whatever move you want to do after the forward. Good examples of moves to do after the cancel are down 4, down back 4, and down forward 4, and I'll show an example of each of those. Out of normal dashing, Depraved Savagery is really the only threatening low, but it's launch punishable, so this will give you access to safer low options. Other decent options can be down forward 2 and down forward 1, and I'll show those as well. But like I said, you have access to all non-stance moves, so you can experiment to find other moves that work for you. This is the last level of wave dash offense, and learning this can make your wave dashing nearly unpredictable, especially with the ability to access your safer low options that aren't available during standard dashing. That's why I think it's worth learning once you're comfortable with the previous techniques that I went over. Alright, now finally I'm going to go over my combos. I think my combos are a good place to start for newer players because they have pretty high damage and easy enough execution in my opinion. So you can take from them what you will and go off of that. So it starts with the launcher, and then my juggles are all the same. It's after the launcher, it's back forward 2-1, and then back forward 2-3, hold forward in the stance, and then once you're in stance, you hit up 1, and that gets them into tornado. So far it looks like this. And then from tornado, you can do a few things. For guaranteed damage, you can do back 3, hold forward 1-3, which will look like this altogether. So that's pretty decent damage. If you want to go for more damage, you can do the tech traps, which instead of doing the back 3 off of the tornado, you'd run up, do wall standing 1-3, hold down forward, and then you either end with 1. It basically turns into crouch dash. So you can end it like that. That's what you do in most cases because most of the time they don't get up correctly. So that'll hit more times than not. If they do get up correctly, the counter to that is you do CD 4-2 for the Depraved Savagery option. So I will go ahead and show each version. So most of the time this is what it'll look like, because most of the time people roll after they get knocked down. So there's CD1. And then if they do get up correctly, I'll still do CD1 just to show you what it looks like if they do get up correctly. So yeah, that's if they do get up correctly, in which case you would opt to the CD, you'd opt for the CD 4-2, which looks like that. If you're near wall, there's a couple other different enders you can use for this combo route. One is back 3-2, which is the highest damaging of the options, and it has pretty good wall travel. However, if you're too close for that, which does happen sometimes, you can also use back 1-2, or finally, back 2-1. For the rest of the video, I will just be putting the inputs down below of all my other combo variations. I think it'll be more digestible that way. But if you made it this far, I hope you're able to get good information off of this, and thanks so much for watching.